Record. All right, here we are, live on the Silverlake Priestess Podcast. I'm here with Sonja Marie.
Hello.
Yes, welcome. Thank you for joining me.
Oh, thanks for calling and inviting me.
Yes. Well, I'm so involved with the work that you're doing nowadays and watching all of your astrology posts on Facebook, and I'm in the village and we'll talk about all of that. But something that, so my main focus with this podcast is empowering women and everyone, but specifically women, to listen to their intuition, to follow their intuition, and to follow their sacred purpose. And I'm interviewing different groups of women based on the women that I know, and talking about their journey. So I've been interviewing some priestesses for the show. I'm interviewing magicians for the show. So you're the first artist musician that I'm interviewing for the show, and this is something that I'm obviously in the same boat, and I work with my music, and it also is part of like me listening to my intuition. But something that I've been talking about lately is that the artists and musicians are also doing a lot of the healing work and the channeling work. And it's part of, how we receive that music anyway. We're an open channel. And right now I'm really seeing it all over, that it is the musicians and the artists that are also doing a lot of this healing work and creating spiritual businesses. And I'm really in support of that. So I just love you. I love your energy so much. I met Sonja back in like 2009 or 2010, and we were in the car with our friend Tammy, and I'm a Scorpio and the both of you are Cancers, and so we were just like right under astrology, like first thing. Right. And after that, just following you and getting your emails and watching you on Periscope and seeing what's going on with your business. And then just recently, I decided for my birthday to come and visit Sonja and get an astrology reading, just for fun, and just to have the connection and just to see what it is that you're offering. And it was so powerful. I also didn't realize what it was that I was coming for. And I had a very powerful channeling session with my grandmother showed up, and we read cards. And anyway, so I was very moved and impressed by your work, and so I share you all the time on my Facebook page, and so I want to share you with my audience. Yes,
thank you.
So we'll talk about all of your work for sure, but I want to talk about you. I want to talk about Sonja. I want to talk about your journey into being a vessel for spirit and hearing your intuition and hearing the calling. And tell us a little bit about your journey.
Well, I think my journey starts off like everyone's, in a sense. I was talking to a client yesterday, and he had asked, are we all able to do this work? And I said, yeah, we are. But the way I like to say that it is, I use the analogy of an open or closed window, is that we are all intuitive. Whether we allow more of that intuition to come through is how open our window is, right? If we don't necessarily want to be responsible for what's coming in, we kind of close the window a little bit. So throughout my life, my window has been open and shut, several times, depending on if I wanted to do the work, depending on who I wanted to see. And also it's about negotiating. So let me say this, is that I've always been intuitive. I started off by seeing people on the other side. I asked that I didn't see them because they scared me so much. And now they come to me like your ancestors and your guides and information just through my head. And it's almost like you're looking at me right now, but you can tell what your kitchen looks like, where your living room is, your refrigerator is, as opposed to your stove. It's kind of like they come to me through imaging and through energy and voices sometimes, and smells even, right? So I've always was able to do this. I think in my younger years, I'm 48 now, maybe 20 years ago, I wanted to shut it down, and, was just going through life, not necessarily wanting to be responsible for it, because sometimes it can be a lot, especially if somebody is not ready to hear. So that's my journey, basically me trying to accommodate my life with what it is that God wants me to do and what it is I need to do in order to pay bills. And then along comes astrology as a hobby, right? Simultaneously, I'm loving astrology. I love talking astrology with friends, 20 years ago. And all of a sudden, I started to realize through spirits, what's the word I'm looking for? Word and advice, so to speak, if that's the right counsel. That's the right word I wanted to use. Through spirits counsel, it's like, okay, once you take astrology, utilize it as a tool and tell people what it is that I'm saying through astrology. Because that's all it is, right? Tarot cards are tools, these different types of modalities that help us to see God, help us to see spirit, help us to see what's going on in our lives. So my thing started as a hobby, but I ended up utilizing it to help people to heal, to add God's voice to it, to pinpoint certain things in a particular natal chart or somebody's progress chart, or a bi-wheel of some sort, or composite chart, whatever chart is necessary for that particular reading, to allow God to say, hey, this is it in astrology, but this is what I really want to tell you. This is what you should do with it, right? Years ago, like within 10 years, I just started to get serious about it, because I recognized that not only were my friends in need of some type of assistance, but more people were, like myself even, and the more I started talking, like a lot of people, the more we start showing what it is that we do, it's almost like we start believing in it more, because the reflection comes back as true. So the more I start saying what it is I hear that God speaks, and through somebody's chart and whatever the case may be, the reactions and the healing that was going on was above and beyond anything that I ever expected. And I just keep hearing, keep going, like keep sharing. Yeah, I hope that kind of answers it, but.
And you definitely are sharing I get so much out of those videos that you post on Facebook. I think you're doing like Mondays, once a week, giving us the weekly rundown. And I use all of that information. I need it. And I use it to share with others. I use it, I do women's circles for the new moon and the full moon. And so I've quoted you definitely a few times.
Yeah. You know what, Jane? I'm the type of person where some people, you might have a few listeners that may disagree with me on this, but money really never leads my train, so to speak, my journey and my steps. We need money to survive. It's very, very obvious. We all know it. But I think the more I share, because I want to, the more comes to me. The more comes to my son, the more comes to my friends, the more comes to our circle and our tribe of people that are actually trying to do some good. So to me, sharing is a high. Like, honestly, if I get a piece of information, I just want to tell everybody. It's almost like, and here's the correlation, right? It's like being on stage. If you feel good in the music and in the words that you're creating, you're like, I want to perform that. I want to tell people that. I want everybody to feel the same way that I feel. And I get just like this and passionate and just, because it just is coming through so fiercely. Like, why wouldn't you? If you're holding on to your gifts and that good feeling, that's some miserly shit, man. Like, you can't do that. God didn't put us on the planet to hold on to our gifts. Whether you're making money off it or not, somehow, some way, that energy will come back. It always does, because money is just energy. Energy is just energy. But to do it from the kindness of your heart, to do it because God said, is the first and foremost reason why I share.
Does it feel the same to you?
Performing?
When you're performing, when you're channeling what is coming through? Because so obviously, like, we might have a song that we know that we're going to perform, or we might have a set that we have arranged, and that's what it is. Perform. Right. When you're on stage and you're doing that, what comes through is totally different, and that is not something that you can plan for.
Right.
You have the experience that it feels the same when it's coming out of you, say when you're doing a live, than you do when it's coming out of you when you're on stage.
You know what? The answer is no. It's not the same. I think it originates from that same place, of course, from our ancestors, our guides, from that space, right? That's above and beyond us. But the total difference, and it feels good sharing, that might be the same. But the difference with performing is that the audience, the energy, the immediate gratification is poured back into you, like almost instantly, right? When you give readings, well, for me anyway, so much energy is coming through and people are so like in their own shit that you don't get that back. You don't get fed back. When you perform, you get fed. When you do this kind of channeling and healing work and you're allowing your body to be used, it just comes through and out, and then I'm crashed on the floor. You know what I mean? You don't get that back. You have to put it back yourself. You know what I mean? A lot of self-care, in which I'm learning now, honestly, after years of doing this work, how important that is to give myself those moments and those times and sometimes days to shut down and not talk to people because I don't want to hear about your life right now. I've been talking to people all week about their lives. I give two hells what's going on in your life. No, I'm just joking. But but it's that feeling like, yeah, okay, can we talk about eggs? Can we just talk about something else?
Yeah. Well, you're communicating for a lot of people. So when I was there, and I had no idea that this grandmother that I haven't been in communication with and wasn't very much in my life was going to show up with all the information that she had.
Yeah.
So you're communicating with me and dealing with all of my stuff, but you're also you're communicating with the other energies that are coming in. So I imagine that that's a lot.
It's an honor, believe me when I tell you. I'm not complaining whatsoever. I'm just learning to adjust. There isn't a definite adjustment that needs to be made, and sometimes we just have to be responsible in taking care of ourselves, right? Yeah.
I agree with you.
I love it.
I just did my first event.
Mm-hmm.
I've done performances and gatherings and things like this, but I did a 3-day event, and I've been learning about how to take care of my energy, and I was really exhausted for an entire week, and I just kept trying to get back to everything, and honoring that and honoring
You know the hardest part is having to stay away and or shut down from certain people. I think that's the hardest part, because it's not personal why you don't want to be around certain people. You love them, but because they have their own individual journey and they go along, around the world, picking up things on their own or going through life the way they go through, whatever the case may be, they have choice. So when we're so wide open because we've been doing all these readings, or because we keep open to spirit like that, and then we come around people that are just, for the lack of a better word, like pig pen, like just got that dust of energy that's on them. We can't subject ourselves to that. That makes me sad. Because I don't, and I'm saying sad because I'm such a caring and loving person. But again, you have to be responsible, right? So I may not be able to go see you, but I can get on the phone and talk to you for 10 minutes. That adjustment has been the hardest for me, because people take it personal. Folks take it personal. You know what I mean? Those that love you, want to flip it around and an ego roars, you know what I mean? And say, well, what is it about me? Blah, blah, blah. Like, and they may not even say it like verbally. It's the energy, right?
Yeah.
So that's been for me the hardest adjustment. But as I get older, I learn to just go with what it is that I have to do,
Yeah, that's the beautiful thing about getting older.
How about that?
Yeah. Tell us about your music.
Oh, I am a poet. A lot of people will consider me a singer or a vocalist, but I'm not. I will definitely say that. However, I love to put melody and cadence to my words and the meanings behind them, some dramatics. So oftentimes it feels like it's being sung and spoken, but it's really it's being sung, but it's really not. It's being spoken, and it's riding waves of all types of music. I have 2 albums out. which are really, really old, back in the day, maybe like 15, about 10, 15 years old. Maybe a little less. But the point is that I haven't done too much lately. It feels like jazz. It feels like a little hip hop. It feels like, you know, some easy jazz listening, like Michael Frank's one of my favorite artists of all time. It depends on where I'm at. I choose music like I choose my words. Whatever makes me feel good, I'm rolling with it. So I don't feel like I have an identified type of music. I really hate putting music in that box anyway. This is rock, this is hip hop, but I just take whatever it is that I feel good about and put it together. I haven't performed in a while. I'm looking forward to doing that in conjunction with my astrology. So there's a nice little show that's about to be evolved. I should say that's going to evolve really, really soon and be produced for everybody to see. So, and it'll be music and poetry and astrology and a book attached to it and a whole bunch of other stuff. So I'm excited about that, but we won't speak too prematurely on that yet.
Yeah. Exciting.
Yeah.
I don't know if we figured this out when we first met or if it was, I think it was then. Anyway, I've listened to, I'm a little bit younger than you, so it was like a few years when I was out of high school, but I had the soundtrack for Waiting to Exhale.
Oh, Waiting to Exhale. Yeah.
And so, you know, even before meeting you, like I've already heard your voice. I've already been exposed to the beautiful message of love, really, that comes out of you. And that's something that was also very profound in our experience. I already feel safe with you and trust you and love you and all of that, but the love that comes through you through your readings and the way that you like hold and the way that you nurture and the way that you are mothering someone at the same time is very special and very healing.
Oh, thank you, Jamie.
You're welcome. It's I've been sharing that experience with people.
I appreciate that. Yeah, Waiting to Exhale was a serious blessing. Just to go back on that, just like, you ever have one of those moments where you're like, how the heck did I get here? You know, it's like, it's not one of those stories where I can say, you know, I was up for hours dreaming about this opportunity, days and years and nights. It really wasn't. It was one of them situations that God ordained and was like, okay, you're going to do this poetry reading. You're going to meet this person. She's going to connect you with Babyface. This all happened in 3 months. She's going to connect you with Babyface. You're going to get this opportunity to do this soundtrack. You're going to have a record deal with LaFace Records, a publishing deal with EMI, and in about a year and a half, all that shit would be gone. But in between, that ride was crazy, like Great Adventures crazy, like Six Flags crazy.
Roller coaster.
And it's a song, and I Gave My Love to You on that soundtrack is a song that just won't go away in a beautiful way, in the best way possible, because it just continues to inspire. And how about this, Jamie? I wrote that song, all 3 verses, in like 20 minutes because I went to see Kenny. Yeah, I went to see Kenny Babyface Edmonds, and dude was like, I got a baseball game to go to. I got to go see my son. So we need like 3 verses banged out real quick. And you're talking about getting thrown into a situation like, so maybe, let me take that back. Maybe I did prepare because I've always been a poet. So I guess me writing all that I wrote up until that moment allowed me to snap into that opportunity and write 20 minutes, that song, and be done with it. And that was it. And that changed my life and put me on a whole nother trajectory, for real.
Do a lot of people that find you for astrology, did they find you because of your music?
That's a really good question. Yeah. I wouldn't know, to be truthful with you. Let me say this, a good 90%, if not 95, are all referrals. And I think people know me from me being Sonja Marie, but at the same time, I've lived in Los Angeles for 26 years. So it's kind of like my music or me being on stage and performing, but I know people. And they may have never seen me perform, but I've worked several places. You know, you get to just get to know people, and I talk. You know, I'm not that kind of person who's going to sit in the party and just, you know, stand on the wall. You know, I get involved and I tell people what I do, and, you know, we have conversation. So I don't know, Jane. Like, I'd have to take a poll or something. I don't know.
And how does it feel for you that you live your life guided by your purpose? That you live a life guided by God, guided by spirit? How does that feel to you?
Truthfully, there is no words that this poet can put on that answer. It's beyond liberating. It's inspiring as heck to myself. It makes me emotional sometimes, because when you just keep hearing, just do what you're supposed to do what I'm telling you to do. Like, your belief system expands exponentially. Like, I really can't even describe it. The faith that I have in my creator, and the faith that I have in my ancestors and my guides, you know, the faith that I have in the prayers that leave my mouth and part my lips, the faith is just bigger than I've ever imagined. Is larger than this universe can hold. And honestly, although I sound artistic, it's so real, because that's what keeps me moving forward. I'm so blessed to be able to be in a city for 26 years. I have help from my mom a bunch of times. I've had help from friends a bunch of times. But at the same time, it's God saying, stay where you are. Do what I tell you to do. And I'm going to allow you to be not only a vessel, but a little bright light for a few people. So they can take that and be bright lights for another few people, and be bright lights for another few people. Like, there's no real answer to that, other than the fact that I'm beyond grateful and liberated by it. It gets rough, because the human in you wants to step inside, or I should say step in to the equation and take over, you know? And the human in you becomes real fearful of, how am I going to pay this bill? How am I going to do this? I want a bigger house. I want a bigger car. I got 9 kids as opposed to 1. I got to make this happen. I need that 401k, blah, 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 blah. Like, all of these different variables that we were taught and raised on having, because we were raised to believe that we have to compare ourselves with everybody else in society, right? What I do and what we do goes against all that. It goes against all that. So it gets tough, but you always got to snap yourself back into that voice. Do what I tell you to do, please. Mm-hmm. Just do what I tell you to do. Trust me, you'll get that money for the bill. Just do what I tell you to do, please. And that's all I keep hearing. So the older I get, the easier it becomes, because I have a track record of how God saved me the whole way. How can I not believe?
Mm-hmm. That's beautiful.
That's real.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So tell us about your astrology business.
Well, first of all, I write for Essence Magazine, which is actually, you would think would be the big French door opening to the world. And it is to a certain extent, but like I said, close to 95% of my clients are word of mouth. But Essence is dope, because I'm able to utilize my love of words with my love of astrology and write down what could possibly happen, given energy that you put in and what the universe has, what could happen in that month in like 6 sentences. That's a daunting feat. However, I take on the challenge every month for the last 4 years, because it's been like, I can do this. We can do this, right? Like, we can just look at a kitty. Aww.
Yeah, I've got a few of those guys here.
Hi. It's like that. So that helps. I love reading. So every astrologer is different. You know, there are some really technical astrologers that love the mathematics and the geometry behind the thing, because Western astrology, Ayurvedic astrology, all types of astrology is extremely vast. It's as vast as our universe, you know, portends, right? To me, as a Cancer and as an artist, that vastness can be really daunting. Like it can look like way too much for me. A lot of astrologers are very good with technical stuff, and that's how they read. But for me, again, I utilize spirit. I let God tell me exactly where to go on somebody's natal chart, progress chart, whatever chart I'm reading, that would help them in that moment, like what's important. You dig what I'm saying? So that's how I fuse what it is that I hear with the tool that's in front of me, and even writing the essence. Like, what do you want me to say, as opposed to what is actually going on, and make it cute and make it, funny and make it precise. It's more healing than anything. It always is about spirituality, and it's always about healing, and it's always about making yourself better than you were yesterday. Why not? What are we here for if we're not getting better, if we're not learning ourselves again? Because I think we came in knowing who we were and we forgot along the way. So I use astrology to help us in spirit, to help us get back to that so we can empower ourselves. We need to take our power back. We give it away way too much to the men and the women in our lives who we're sleeping with, to our bosses, to society, to the government. Everybody takes a little piece of us all day, every day. And I try to utilize this tool and this avenue to help people put themselves back together so they can feel powerful and resilient and knowledgeable and love every single day, or whenever they get to read. The information helps them to feel that prayerfully.
Yeah, it's true. Your messages are really empowering. They call the person out to take responsibility for themselves and for their behavior, but also
there's that's the New York side of me that makes them, they want to call them out. You're full of shit, right?
but we need that. We need that so that we can look. And so, especially when you're using the astrology, that's the thing that's great about astrology, is like you can really call out these negative aspects and this negative behavior that is in, us, and that we can really see it because we can feel it right now because of the intensity of what is going on. And so you're able to call people out. You can call people out that are watching you, but you're also calling the other people out in their lives so they can see it. And then you offer compassion. You offer a way in which the person can work on themselves to heal their situation, to heal themselves. And you also offer compassion for the person, and then the way that they can also view what's going on in their life. And I think that is something that is really important about what is going on right now in this Great Awakening, in this information age, is that information is available to us, and people who really understand it, or that spirit is using that platform or that information to communicate these messages to us.
Right.
It's here for us to understand. You have a whole village of people that are participating in understanding this astrology with you, and they're applying it to their lives, and it's so great. I've been into astrology for a long time, but even like 15, 20 years ago, it was something that I was just one of those people that was into astrology, and I'd be like rattling off about these things, but most people just weren't interested or didn't understand what it was that I was talking about. But people are really interested in all of this nowadays. And so people are hearing the messages and using it. And I appreciate that about what it is that you're presenting in the way that you do. I think it's interesting to hear about the math and all of that, but if your mind isn't that way to understand it in that way, then you can't use the astrology.
Right, because there's nothing wrong with that. If that's how you internalize information from an analytical, practical standpoint, more power to you. God speaks to all of us in whatever language that we can understand. That's the real. That's the real. This is just the way that we do it, right? That's necessary. And I'm grateful. I'm just so grateful. Thank God. I'm just grateful.
Oh, I'm grateful for you, Sonja.
Thank you.
So tell us about the village.
The village is bomb diggity. This is the second year that we actually had a little installment of it. I took a break for a minute and then came back with the village part do. And it's a nice little collective of folks, private group collective of folks on Facebook. And I do like a weekly rundown that usually lasts for a good 45 minutes to an hour of everything, astrologically speaking, that's happening within that week. And then we talk spirit, of course, we talk healing aspects in between all of that. I give people their natal charts. We talk about big events like the two that's about to happen in January, two eclipses that are happening in January on the 5th and the 21st. There are two more eclipses in July that we'll talk about. And then there's a last one in for the next year. There's another one in December. So there are 5 eclipses. So we get into that because everybody has their natal chart. We can show exactly where these eclipse moments are happening for them. And then people rattle off questions and share information. And I am the type of person that, especially in a reading, that I never like people to walk away with a question mark or I didn't really get that part. So I go hard like that. I mean, we're going to make you understand. We are going to make you understand until you get it. Like, we're going to do whatever we need to do, use whatever analogies in order to, infuse the understanding of astrology. So that's that. And there's these beautiful people from all over the country, really, that are strangers, but share their lives and share very intimate things about themselves, I believe, who are just trying to heal. Folks are just trying to get better. And they want to get better with folks that look like them and that feel like them, who are in the same space. And I'm the type of person where I'm a leader in the sense that I want to teach so you can take it and fly. Like, I don't want you to come back. Somebody asked me, why don't you do like coaching and stuff? And I'm like, that's way too much of an investment. For my heart anyway, you know what I mean? Because then I'm like family to you now. I got to feel you all day and night, and I'm an empath. So I don't really want to hold on to you. I want to be able to show you what it is that I know and take that and then fly. Or learn something else somewhere else, ask some questions. And so that's what the village is about. Like, take the information and fly, build on it, be your own student and teacher after what it is that we open you up to. You dig?
Yeah. You do that in your readings too. Tell us a little bit about what you're reading, what it entails.
So the most popular reading that we offer is a 90-minute reading. And it consists of 3 levels, so to speak. The first half an hour is usually me rattling off information from spirit, and your ancestors and your guides usually show up. Sometimes they tell you their names, or they definitely show their faces, so I'm able to describe who they are. And they go, yeah, that's my Uncle Paul, or whoever the case. Most of the time they're on the other side. Sometimes they're here. On the planet still, and they have a way of connecting with you. The third part of that is that with spirit's assistance and guidance, we go to your natal chart usually. Depending on if you're a repeat client, we may use another type of chart, but typically it's the natal chart that we use, and we talk about your personality and what's happening in the stars at the moment, and how your personality, because that's what astrology is about, right? Devising your personality and your destiny as you travel, showing you what you need to do in this moment in time in your chart. And then thirdly, we spread my favorite deck that I've had for 25 years. I have several decks, but the one that I use for my clients are the Oshu Zen tarot cards. And we do a 5-card spread, and that helps to like solidify the whole read. It kind of puts an exclamation point on it. So if you had any questions throughout it, that card reading goes, yeah, this is the real deal. Like it just puts a stamp on it. And yeah, a lot of information comes through, a lot. Sometimes people, record it or take notes, and sometimes people just take it in and absorb it like through osmosis or something. But it's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful thing. I love doing it. Yeah. And you can check it out on my website. Usually they're $300 for that 90 minutes, but recently I've been offering a lot of specials for $175. So people can always get in contact with me via my website at wordlifeastrology.com, or just email me at wordlifeastrology@gmail.com.
And they can they experience the entire reading online, just like this?
FaceTime, on the telephone, Facebook has a little video chat. We could do a video chat if they don't have FaceTime, or face to face. I'm in Los Angeles, so yeah.
And I very highly recommend this if you're feeling like you resonate with Sonja and you want to check this out. It was so powerful for me. I was just going just to experience, you know, what it is that you're offering, and it was changed some things in my life. It was very powerful. So very much recommend that. So before we wrap up, I would love, and I'm sure everybody would love, to hear a little bit about what we can look forward to in this next year with the astrology. And, you know, I share you all the time, so I'm assuming that people who are listening here and listening to us today have already seen you on my page. So you don't have to give us a lot, you know, we can follow you and find you, but, you know, if you could just give us something.
Well, forgive me if people have heard this already, but I really want to hone in on the fact that two things is that we have these wonderful eclipses happening in January, but also tomorrow. I've been telling my close friends this, and I said it in a village, I believe. Tomorrow, Uranus, which is the planet of innovation and sudden surprises, like out of the blue, left field, kind of like, what? I didn't even see that coming. That particular planet will be trining the sun. So trine is just a way of saying, the technical definition is one particular planet is 120 degrees away from another planet. So Uranus will be 120 degrees directly from the sun. So when when Uranus supports these surprises, and the sun is the ego, the sun is the core you, the sun is basically and obviously the illuminating factor on your life. When they come together, like surprises come out of nowhere to help you shine. Surprises, hence the sun. Surprises come out of nowhere to like put you off on a new path and a new innovative path. And new trend settings, like things that you have no idea, like I could actually do that. I've been given this opportunity and I think I can do that. And it came from left field. What a gift. So that's tomorrow. And you may not feel it on Friday, but you will feel it throughout the weekend in some kind of way. I like to encourage your listeners that they don't judge the size of the prize. Oftentimes as human beings, we get caught up into, all right, then I'm going to win that lotto and, you know, get $4 million, 400,000 million, whatever. And that's a good surprise. Yeah, that is a good surprise. But also walking by a wonderful array of flowers is a surprise in which you've never felt before. Why? Because maybe that array and that bouquet of flowers brings you life. All of a sudden you see colors in ways that you've never seen before. So now everything is colorful. You dig? You didn't pay for that. You can't pay for that. Maybe that surprise and that beauty lightens your heart so much, where you've been closed for 7 years because your dude, you know, dogged you, you know, and then all of a sudden this bouquet of flowers opens up your heart again. That's a surprise, which, I mean, I would love that surprise. You know, the point is that don't measure it, don't judge it, and try not to look for it. But you'll know it when it touches you. Next month, January, like I said, January 5th and the 21st, we have two eclipses. The first one is in Capricorn, 15 degrees Capricorn. So if any budding astrologers out there want to know how it will show up for you, is if you look where 15 degrees Capricorn is in your natal chart, that's where the eclipse will fall. Eclipses are major changes. Somewhat like Uranus, it kind of takes you off your feet. Changes that come that you don't even see, but literally alter your entire world. That's why they're so important, right? From a pipe bursting in your house and all of a sudden you have to move, but you've been wanting to move. You just kind of been sitting on your ass about it. So with this pipe bursting, now you're forced to go. That's a major eclipse change, you dig? That'll be in Capricorn. So the new moon eclipse on the 5th is more about new ways in which you will be responsible, more disciplined, more ambitious towards your goal. And then where does that fall in your life? Is it in your 5th house of love? Does it fall in your 7th house of relationship? Whatever. The 21st is 0 degrees. It's an eclipse. in 0 degrees Leo. So wherever that is in your chart, you can see where that falls. And it's a full moon eclipse, so things will come to an end. Things will come to an end, and usually that's the way the universe works, right? In polarities. When something starts, something has to end. So it's not a bad thing. It's just the way you have to empty something out in order to get something new. Again, that ending, because it's in Leo, will show up a little dramatic. You know what I mean? Show up a little fiery because it's in Leo. Show up with a lot of courage and will wrapped around it, you know? Maybe it has to do with, I don't know, creativity in some kind of way because it is Leo. But those are the things we have to look forward to. Now, here's the thing. We always have eclipses that are happening throughout a year, but when 5 of them show up in 1 year, you can expect major changes in your life, like incredible changes. Again, not like the Uranus changes, but changes in a way that just sets you off on a new path and a new trajectory, in which I think we all need, James. I think we all have been working our tails off. We all have been healing in so many different avenues in our lives and areas in our lives that we need a break. We need a break to be able to smell something new and do something new. And, it's like a refresher. You know what I mean? It's been hard. The past 10 years have been crazy. Since 2009, it's been very interesting.
This past year has been pretty intense. The astrology was just How many eclipses?
This past year has been like emotionally intense.
Yeah. Well, we started with the full moon in Cancer last year on the 1st.
Yeah.
And with all those retrogrades and everything in the summer and all of the a lot of anger really coming up, a lot of anger and frustration and a lot of change coming from that. But I felt like the eclipses were really powerful this year as well. How many did we have?
This year, I believe we have 4, if I can remember off the top of my head.
We're going to have 1
more. No. We have 5 this year too. I'm sorry. Because there was 3 in the summertime and then there was 2 at the top of the year. We have 5 as well. So along with the eclipses and then all of them, in the summer, there was 6 planets retrograde at one time for about 2 weeks.
So intense.
That was just stupid. Just stupid. Because
it was really great. We got tons of stuff to process.
Oh, yeah. Exactly. The way I see it is just like the toilet bowl just exploded and now you got to wipe the shit off the walls. It took like 4 months to wipe it down and you're like, damn, this shit stinks, but I got to do it. But why I love astrology and the universe so much and God above and beyond anything is that we always get rewarded for what we're doing.
Yeah.
Always. Like there's always a flip side of that. So we just have to be patient and wait for that and do the work.
Yeah.
Do the work because when the rewards come, you want to be able to like really enjoy the rewards because you bust your butt. You just don't take the rewards because you've been sitting on the couch. I mean, you can't appreciate it.
Yeah.
Do the work.
Yeah. That's one of the reasons why I like to share astrology, because I feel like you can see the why inside. Yeah. You can see the gift inside of it. And you can see also why it would come up. So people just that know a little bit about astrology like to get real negative about the retrogrades and it's this because of this retrograde and it's this reason why. But rather than looking at it as like somebody is digging up all of the stuff for you that you need to work on. So as soon as you work through it, then it's not sitting there anymore.
And that's why I love Scorpio energy so much. You guys get such a bad rap because of the fact that you don't mind going deep into the belly of the beast. Everybody else wants to play superficial, but there is a wonderful gem waiting in that belly of the beast that only Scorpio energy understands. I ride with y'all. I ride with y'all in that regard. Because at the end of the day, what's going to happen? Like, who's going to kill you? How could you die? How could you die? Wiping shit off the walls. You may get messy, but you'll do it. You have to do it. And a lot of signs won't. So thank you for being you.
I've got a lot of stuff in Scorpio. So I have a lot of experience with that. And I'm grateful for it. Because
I hear you.
It helps me to guide other people into working with that stuff. And
because you've been there.
Yeah. Yes.
You can honestly say, I've been there.
To be honest.
Huh?
And I almost go towards it. I see this big pile of mess, or I dig for it inside of myself.
Good for you.
You know, this year has been a lot of me confronting things that I didn't even know was there, and like fear of being seen. When I created my business and had to step out, there was a lot of stuff that I had to deal with, and it was very exciting that I found it.
Right.
But it was crazy to have to deal with. And that's also why I'm inspired to just help also motivate, push, activate other women to do the same, especially if we are all working for spirit, right? But some of us really strongly feel the call to be because we're a vessel for spirit and we have the messages, but you have to face all of your own shit in order for that stuff to come out. Otherwise, it just gets stuck. It won't come out.
It does. It really, really does. And then there's some people out there that goes, well, how are you chosen? And again, I want to reiterate, we're all chosen.
Yeah. But you're just choosing to do the work. You're choosing to listen to the intuition and choosing to follow it. And like you said, it's not, it doesn't feel like the safe path at all. In the beginning. Most of us have trained ourselves and have been trained to not listen to your intuition. Yeah. To choose the path that makes sense, or
that's not practical, that's visible, that's obvious, that's a plan, you know what I mean, that's been proven, you know, following the freaking order of things. You know, we're not meant to follow. Not everybody is meant to follow. You know,
follow your intuition. That's the thing. I'm all about like this freedom and this being individual about it, but actually where I get all that from is by serving my purpose and listening to intuition, because that's our higher self, whatever people call it, whether it's God, goddess, intuition, inner self, higher self, your angels, your ancestors,
Buddha, Mary, Jesus, and Joseph.
Yeah, they're all different aspects of the same thing. They all make up the whole.
Absolutely.
So, you know, and it's us with our best interest guiding ourselves.
That's right, Jamie. I like that.
Yeah. And I appreciate that you do this work. And I have experienced so much like healing and opening because of the work that you're doing. And I love you, Sonja. I love your energy. I appreciate you so much. Thank you for coming on the show, and thank you for everything that you share. And I definitely highly recommend to all of you to check out Sonja's lives. She's doing them on Facebook every Monday. Check out The Village and get a reading from her.
wordlifeastrology.com.
And I will put all of your information in the show notes. So if anybody's looking for how to find you and they're not writing anything down, it'll be there. And this episode will be up on the podcast too in about a week.
I appreciate it. And congratulations on all the work that you're doing.
Thank you. Thank you.
I really keep opening your heart. Love you.
Love you too, Sonja.
Bye, baby.
Bye.
Bye.